Hello everybody. Osio Nigada. Aoniche Mobe. Ahlan bikum jami'an. Bienvenido. So in this video, I'm just gonna go over. I made some slight changes, or I edited my list a little bit. Nothing major, but just wanted to go over that and also kind of go over like go a little bit more into the reasons as to why I'm learning these languages. Um, So I know I said that I wasn't gonna make any more changes, but I've come to the realization that I might be making more changes, but any change I make is going to be a minimalizing change rather than a maximizing change. Or in other words, to make things easier for myself as opposed to harder for myself. So as you'll see now, let's see. So pretty much honestly, I don't really want to put Spanish on my list anymore just because I already speak it. So and also now I have my languages numbered. Each language has a official number assigned to it. Basically going in order here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. So I kind of have a top 10 now out of the 20 languages I have, what I can call like a top 10. So, alright, so obviously, and not counting English or Spanish, this list stayed the same. Basically, Arabic, Cherokee, Mandingo. Then the B list, our intermediate list, stayed the same pretty much. I don't know if in the last I made a video since I've added Embera to it, but yeah, that happened. So we have Yucatec Maya, Embera, Mende, and Mohawk. Alright, here's a little change here. If y'all recall before, these two were all in one group just called A2. Languages that I was that I want to learn at an A2 level. But I kind of prioritize it a bit. So now these languages, these three, well, four are three, but technically these two kind of go together. I'll explain later. But so these three are in the A2 list. So basically, I definitely want to get at an A2 level, at least with these languages. As opposed to this group where it's A1 to A2. So I got myself, some room to, make it a little easier for myself, so I can, I'll settle for an A1 level on these languages, just in case I don't have I don't have any more room in my brain. um, but yeah, so you can say these are the top 10 here. And one of the reasons why it wasn't easy to decide. I've been thinking about it for a while, but one of the reasons why I picked these to be part of the top 10 was because basically they're the languages that I want to focus my linguistic work on. Um, I should probably make another video, a separate video about that, of the languages of the list that I want to focus linguistic work on. So out of the formerly known as the A2 group, the former one, out of those, these are the ones that I want to focus projects on. And the reason I said Garifuna and Modern Taino together, because I don't know if I mentioned in an earlier video, but you know what, actually, I'll make a separate video about that, because I plan to do that anyway, about each of the languages. But so just kind of going over the reasons why I learned these languages. I think I've probably touched on it in some of my first videos, but just to kind of give it, I think now I have a better way of explaining it. So I have two, major goals. One is regional representation, which was my first goal starting, um, which basically means I kind of wanted to, instead of just focusing on Europe or Asia or one particular area, I wanted to kind of have my list reflect each and every region of the world equally. Well, that was my original plan. But then later on, well, two things kicked in. One was kind of, well, okay, not two, just one. Basically, one was pretty much had to do with personal identity. So the personal identity aspect led me to want to focus on mostly African and American languages, because I have both African ancestry and Native American ancestry. Um, but yeah, and the reasons, and it's not just because of my I mean, the reason that I'm focusing on the Americas and Africa is not just purely out of personal identity, or as like a heritage languages, so to speak, but it's because, well, two other reasons. One, because I feel that they're underrated, and they're, and also they're colonized languages based, obviously. There are, in my opinion, these two groups, especially the Americas, um, are in the greatest need of decolonization. Also, Oceania fits that category too, as far as languages needing to be decolonized. But unfortunately, I don't have any languages of that region anymore on my list. I had to make some cuts. Wasn't easy, but I think I explained that in my last video. So, and then the other reason, the focus on the Americas and Africa, is just plain genuine interest. I happen to be really interested in them, apart from my own personal identity and apart from them being colonized languages. So, um, so that's pretty much what it is now. I still have some languages outside of this sphere, like in Asia, um, Europe. I didn't really pick anything, just for a simple fact that I already speak two European languages, English and Spanish. So even, not to say that there aren't really interesting languages in Europe, like Gaelic languages and Greek and Italian and Albanian and Bosnian, Serbo-Croatian, Chechen, etc. But I really wanted to focus, obviously, on these two regions here. Um, so yeah, then the other reasons that I learned, so the way that I pick these languages, the way that they make it to my list is a combination of four other criteria. One, obviously, like I said, personal identity. But some of the languages, like say in Africa and the Americas, I might have more of a personal identity, a more of a personal connection with than others. And then another one is genuine interest again. Like some languages of these two regions interest me more than others, just out of just genuine interest, for no other reason. And then another factor is size slash notoriety. So size slash notoriety is basically like, it kind of has a lot to do with practicality. The bigger languages obviously have more of a chance for survival, and also they're easier to learn because there's more speakers and they're spoken. In some cases in large regions of these continents. Notoriety is a little bit different. Than size. Notoriety just means a language that's well known of. I'll give you an example. Let's say Taino versus Embera. Embera might be bigger in size, has more speakers, because Taino obviously doesn't have any speakers, or it's at least being revitalized, which is why it's on my list. So, whereas Embera has more speakers, but more people know of Taino, and probably more people are interested in Taino. And it has that notoriety of being, the Caribbean language. So that's kind of the difference between size and notoriety, but they kind of go together. Um, And then, last but not least, the last factor is a language that I feel is underrated and or project worthy. They usually go hand in hand. Like Embera again, I feel it's underrated language, and there's not a lot of material out there. So it's very project worthy. So I kind of have to balance all these factors when I took into consideration like which languages I'm going to learn, and at what level I'm going to learn each of them. And it's not easy. Obviously, there's always give and take. So just going right to it. Let's start with the first one. Number one, Arabic. Okay, so Arabic. It definitely has regional representation. It's both in Africa and Asia, and it's also part of the Afroasiatic family, which is mostly in Africa. Um, it's personal identity. I mean, obviously, I'm not. Well, I'm not of Arab descent, even though it is an African language. But most likely, most of my African ancestry comes from sub-Saharan Africa. But the only thing that for personal identity, the strongest thing I think of is the fact that I'm Muslim. Being Muslim, obviously in Islam, Arabic is our liturgical language. It's the language of the Quran, the two main sources of Islam, the Quran and the Sunnah. So, obviously, in that sense, Arabic has there's a personal identity factor there from my religion. Obviously, not to say that Islam is an Arab religion because it isn't, but the fact that the primary texts of Islam are in the Arabic language. Um, as far as genuine interest, yeah, I mean, apart from all that, Arabic is a pretty interesting language. It's pretty cool. It's pretty attractive to me. Um, Size and notoriety, definitely. It's really big. Geographic wise, um, and oh wait, hold on. Oh, there you go. Geography wise and number of speakers, has some like more than 300 million speakers. So, and it's dominant in North Africa and southwestern Asia. Um, here's a little, oh shoot, yeah, little description of it. My main focus is on standard Arabic, modern standard Arabic, which is based off of classical Arabic. Going to the next one, Cherokee. So Cherokee, alright, regional representation. Well, yeah, it's North America, and then it's definitely my main language of I should say Northern America. Well, actually North America, period. Um, and obviously it fits in with the Americas focus. Um, and personal identity. Well, yeah, because for one, I happen to live in Northern America. I'm from the United States, and I have part of my ancestry is Cherokee. So that's a pretty strong personal connection, personal identity reason for me picking Cherokee, which is one reason why it's in the C list. Arabic, another reason it's in a C list is just its scope. It's kind of like my token, quote unquote, normal language. That most people heard of and are familiar with. But yeah, Cherokee also got up there just for my strong personal connection, identity, and the fact that I live in the United States and from the United States. And apart from that, genuine interest. It is a very interesting language. I'm really interested in it. Apart from the fact that I have ancestors